is in the same direction only. So what we are going to cover in this session, next 40 minutes, is we will define knowledge, skills, and attitudes and add a fourth pillar, which is called habit, and discover a concept called KASH, knowledge, skills, attitude, and habit framework. Second, we will mention specific knowledge, skills, and attitude to become successful in our MBA program. So you have joined this program, you have a lot of apprehensions, you have a lot of doubts, you have a lot of queries. So probably at the end of this session, I'll be able to give you some idea about in what direction you should think and work. We'll also talk about employability skills considered important to get hired. So I'll define employability skill in a while, right? But one of the important area of joining MBA is that after MBA, you would like to enter into corporate. So MBA is actually considered as a passport of corporate entry. So if you want to get hired, you should have something called employability skills. So employability skills are basically skills that your potential employers are looking for in you before they hire you, right? Now, I'll start with few articles. So this article was actually published in 2016. So it's slightly older article. It was published in India Today, and the article says that 93% of MBA graduates are unemployable. So problem with management education in India. So they did a survey and they found through recruiters that people who do MBA, at least 93% of them are not employable, right? So let's just not get into the detail, but let's just understand what this news talks about. There's one more recent article, which was in 2018, that Indian MBAs are becoming less employable. A report is saying that Indian MBAs are becoming less employable. Annually, about 360,000 MBA students graduate from roughly 4,000 business schools in India, and 61% of them are actually unemployable. So I would like you to answer two questions in chat. Number one, what do you understand by unemployable? What do you understand by unemployable? Somebody is unemployable versus, let's say, somebody is employable. So what do you mean by employable? So jobless is unemployed, but unemployable kya hota hai? When you finish a course and when you go for recruitment and they did not find the knowledge, skills, and attitudes, that is called unemployable. So you don't have the skill, or you don't have a particular knowledge, or you don't have that right attitude so that they can actually hire you. So having degree but not suitable for job, right? They do not have the ability to work, the person is not able to do the job, or lack of qualification. So these are some of the answers that I'm getting, and most of you are on the right track. So what makes an MBA employable? So if I have to shortlist and give you a framework, it could be the knowledge set that he or she should possess, the skills that he or she should possess, the attitude that he or she should carry, and the habits. So we are going to discuss the knowledge, skills, attitude, and habit, which is called KASH, KASH, right? It is not CASH, it is KASH, KASH framework. Now, what exactly is a KASH framework? So let's just understand. So KASH means you have basically four qualities that your employers are looking for. One is the knowledge, second is skills, third is attitude, and fourth is habit. Now we all know the meaning of all this, but what is the context in terms of our MBA program that we need to understand? So knowledge is basically awareness of some topic, what to do, right? Second, skill, ability to do something, how to do it. Third, attitude, perspective or attitude or mental energy or your perspective towards life, whether you should do it or not. Do you have skills? You have skills, but you should do it or not. And fourth is habit, which is repeated and consistent behavior, how often to do it. Now, I'll give you a very simple example. Imagine that you are driving on the road and somebody overtook you with a very fast speed and he or she met with an accident. So if somebody meets with an accident, what you should do? Let's say, assume that he or she met with an accident, you stop by and he or she is bleeding, right? So what is the ideal thing that you are supposed to do? If you can give me an answer in chat. It's a very simple answer. अगर आप कहीं जा रहे हो और किसी का एक्सीडेंट देखते हो तो ऋषि is saying call the ambulance, right? So I think ऋषि what you are saying is call 108, right? आपको सबसे पहले एम्बुलेंस बुलाना पड़ेगा so that the person gets hospitalized, right? Now अगर उस चीज को हम KASH नॉलेज स्किल एटीट्यूड फ्रेमवर्क में सोचने की कोशिश करें, सो नॉलेज मतलब व्हाट टू डू. So if you see somebody who has met with accident, what you should do is call 108. So आपको 108 पे कॉल करना पड़ेगा. Skill how to do it. अब how to do it मतलब you cannot shout कि 108 108 ऐसे आप shout करोगे तो वो आ नहीं जाएगा. So how to do it is basically you take out the cell phone and you call. So that is called a skill. Whether to do it is very important. आपको लगता है यार चलो यार इसकी वजह से मेरा टाइम वेस्ट हो जाएगा, मेरे को घर पे जाना है, मेरा अपॉइंटमेंट है, मेरा ऑनलाइन क्लास है और आई एम गोइंग समवेयर एल्स. इफ आई स्टॉप हियर एंड ट्राई टू हेल्प हिम इट विल वेस्ट माय टाइम. So whether to do it or not, it's your choice and it's a part of attitude. Do you have an attitude of helping others or do you mind your own business? And fourth is habit. How often you do it? When you see people in trouble, do you go ahead and help or you mind your own business? There are some people who will go out of their way to help people. और कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं कि वो छोड़ो ना यार, ये तो रोज का, ही वाज ड्राइविंग फास्ट तो बुक था, उसका नसीब, ऐसा मान के चलते हैं, राइट? सो व्हाट नॉलेज स्किल एंड एटीट्यूड एंड हैबिट फ्रेमवर्क इज टेलिंग यू दैट इन लाइफ if you want to take action, you need to have some knowledge about it. You should have a skill how to do it. You should possess right attitude whether you want to do it or not. And habit, are you consistently doing it or not? So when you do it consistently, it becomes a part of your personality and life. Let's move a little bit ahead. So now let's just try and discuss all four in a little bit deeper understanding. Knowledge is condition of being aware of something. So let's say I am a surgeon, I'm a doctor who does surgery. So the key knowledge that I should have is the knowledge of body parts, the anatomy of body. ये heart कौन सी जगह होता है, liver कौन सी जगह होता है, and so on. Attitude is feelings, emotions, beliefs or values about something. About something is your approach towards life. For example, मैं आपको एक simple example से बताता हूँ. इंडिया में जब कोरोना वायरस शुरू हुआ तो देयर वर टू कैटेगरीज ऑफ पीपल. लॉकडाउन हुआ तो सम पीपल वर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड कि हमारा एक्शन बंद हो गया है, हम बाहर नहीं जा सकते, हम लोगों को मिल नहीं सकते हैं, हम कोई काम नहीं कर सकते हैं. और एक कैटेगरी ऑफ लोग थे जो पॉजिटिवली उन्होंने ये लॉकडाउन को लिया कि अब फाइनली मेरे पास टाइम है मेरी हॉबीज परस्यू करने का, अब फाइनली मेरे पास टाइम है मेरी फैमिली को टाइम देने का, अब मेरे पास फाइनली टाइम है कुछ नया सीखने का. So their attitude was positive towards the lockdown and there were some people whose attitude was negative. So जिनका positive attitude था उन्होंने ये लॉकडाउन पीरियड को अपने सेल्फ डेवलपमेंट में पॉजिटिवली यूज किया and they came out as winners. और जिन्होंने इस चीज को नेगेटिव या कंप्लेनिंग नेचर से लिया, they fall into the category of depression. वो कुछ ज्यादा कर नहीं पाए, right? Skills, ability to perform tasks and activities measured in time and precision. I'll give you an example of a teacher. So if I'm teaching you, let's say, knowledge, skill, attitude framework, one thing is that I should have a knowledge of what exactly I'm teaching. And second, how efficiently I'm teaching. So my communication skills, the way I speak, the right examples that I use is called skill. So skill is ability to perform a task. Skill के लिए foundational knowledge जरूरी है. Skill without knowledge is not possible. For example, if I want to become a good teacher, I should have a knowledge. Then I should try and teach you कि इस knowledge को transmit कैसे करते हैं. That is a skill, right? Habit is the aspect of behavior that is repeatedly and consistently done without any effort or conscious thought. When you wake up in the morning, what do you do first? Well, पहले हम लोग क्या करते थे? When we used to wake up first, we used to go and do the brush. लेकिन अब हम क्या करते हैं? When we wake up, सबसे पहले हमारा सेल फोन चेक करते हैं कि क्या मैसेजेस आए होंगे and all that. अब ये जो होता है हैबिट, it's a part of your personality. Nobody's telling you what to do. जैसे when you wake up and go for brush, कोई आपको बता नहीं रहा है कि you should do brush. It's a part of habit which you have developed since the early life. So habits are those things, actions that you take unconsciously. They are part of your personality. Now habits could be good habits and habits could be bad habits. Obviously, the more good habits you have, better will be your life. And the more bad habits you carry in your portfolio, your life will be much more miserable. Let's just try and understand this KASH, knowledge, skill, attitude framework from the life of MBA student. आपकी लाइफ में क्या इंपॉर्टेंट या आपको 2 साल में ये फ्रेमवर्क कैसे काम लगेगा? That is what we are trying to discuss. So let me define what is knowledge. So knowledge is being aware. It is a cognitive processing of the information. Cognitive means the mental ability to understand. So if I'm teaching you, if you are able to understand, that is a cognitive understanding. You are processing the information. It may include recall. तो आपको पता है हमने लास्ट क्लास में क्या किया था? Recognition. आपको पता चल रहा है कि अगर मैं एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूं तो आप उसको रिलेट कर पा रहे हो. Understanding, do you understand what I'm trying to say? And finally, at a later stage, the application also. So understanding of a concept and application of concept is a higher order learning. Evaluation of facts, patterns and concepts. So knowledge को मोटे तौर पे एक information source माना जाता है that you should be aware of it. Right? अब मैं आपको थोड़े MBA के एग्जाम्पल से समझाने की कोशिश करता हूँ. Imagine that you are a financial analyst. Financial analyst वो होता है जो स्टॉक का एनालिसिस करता है and they recommend their clients to buy or sell that stock. ये जॉब जनरली MBA फाइनेंस स्टूडेंट्स को मिलता है. टू गेट दिस जॉब आपको फंडामेंटल और टेक्निकल एनालिसिस का नॉलेज होना चाहिए. So you should have that knowledge to perform the task at a later stage. Imagine you are a marketeer. आप सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग करना चाहते हो. So सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग के लिए आपको सबसे पहले सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स क्या होते हैं और सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग के लिए कौन से टूल्स यूज किए जाते हैं उसका नॉलेज होना चाहिए. So knowledge is basically how to perform something. It could be a technical knowledge, it could be a theoretical knowledge, it could be understanding, right? अब MBA knowledge framework कैसे pass on किया जाता है to the students in the program? So सबसे पहले you have something called foundation courses. These courses you will learn in your first year, like mathematics, statistics, and research. These courses are foundation to individuals' knowledge. अभी हम कुछ भी मैनेजमेंट का नहीं सिखा रहे हैं. We are just trying to develop your foundation of knowledge so that you can take better decisions at a later stage. Then you have something called management domain course. So when you are in first year, you will learn all courses. You will learn some of finance, some marketing, some HR, some IB, language skills and all that. Now the purpose of management domain course is to introduce the candidate to all management subjects. अब आपको एक क्वेश्चन होगा कि सर हम सारे सब्जेक्ट्स क्यों पढ़ते हैं? तो इसका एक फंडामेंटल मैं आपको रीजन बताता हूँ. आप जब भी कॉर्पोरेट जॉब में आगे जाओगे तो सपोज आप मार्केटिंग मैनेजर होंगे तो सिर्फ आपको मार्केटिंग का ख्याल नहीं रखना है. यू शुड नो फ्रॉम वेयर कंपनी इज टेकिंग द फाइनेंसेस. यू शुड नो हाउ योर कंपनी इज रिक्रूटिंग. सो योर परफॉर्मेंस, योर जॉब इज मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी. A marketing manager should know some finance, a finance manager should know some marketing. So आपको हर डोमेन का थोड़ा बहुत अंडरस्टैंडिंग होना जरूरी है in order to perform. So that is why you have all the courses in the first year. फाउंडेशन में आपको सारे कोर्सेज का थोड़ा बहुत नॉलेज दिया जाता है so that you become, when you go in your specialization, you become an expert in a particular area, but you should have some amount of understanding of all other areas. Later stage में when you move to the third semester or in the second year, you got into something called specialization courses. Specialization courses के मैंने कुछ example दिए हैं that corporate finance is a specialization course in finance area, consumer behavior is a specialization course in marketing area, organizational development is a specialization course in HR area. अब specialization courses में आपको focused learning दी जाती है. दैट आपको जनरल अंडरस्टैंडिंग तो मैनेजमेंट की हो गई, बट आपको किसी चीज का एक्सपर्ट अगर हमें बनाना हो तो हमको आपको फोकस्ड लर्निंग देनी पड़ेगी. दैट इज डन थ्रू स्पेशलाइजेशन कोर्सेज. उसके अलावा द सेकेंड फेज ऑफ नॉलेज इज टेक्नोलॉजी. नाउअडेज इन द कोरोना पीरियड आप लोग ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हो, द वे वी आर टीचिंग यू इज यूज ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी. आगे भी the way people are working is they are going to use a lot of technology in their work life. So technology mein you can learn MS Office, which is Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Nowadays analytical tool, we have a course on business analytics where we teach you R, Python programming. Then use of Google. So Google के बहुत सारे applications हैं. For example, the Google Meet application that we are using to conduct the class. Then you have Google Classroom also. Then you have Google Podcasts. So technology is one of the key area where you should have a knowledge to function. Because nowadays you have to send emails, you have to talk on meeting platforms. So some amount of understanding of technology is required in order to do your course as well as to work at a later stage. Then the fourth level or the next level of learning which people expect is general awareness. So when you appear for an interview in your placements, they expect you to understand not only the knowledge which is given to you in your, but some amount business, what is happening in the economy space, what is happening in the technology, policies, practices, how a particular action of government is going to affect the industry that you are trying to work. Now, this general awareness is actually developed through reading the newspapers, discussing or watching the news channels. So some amount of understanding or learning will have to come from your part. And finally, the last level of knowledge that they expect is industry and sector specific awareness. That imagine you are a finance student, hypothetically, and you would like to work in a BFSI sector, banking, financial and services industry sector. इस सेक्टर में जॉब के लिए आपको इस सेक्टर की अंडरस्टैंडिंग होनी चाहिए कि बैंकिंग सेक्टर होता क्या है, कौन कौन से बैंक्स होते हैं, वो रिक्रूटमेंट कैसे करते हैं, उनके प्रोडक्ट्स क्या होते हैं, बैंकिंग सेक्टर में आगे बढ़ने के लिए कौन से स्किल्स और नॉलेज की जरूरत होती है. If you are a marketing student and if you are interested in FMCG, fast moving consumable goods sector, तो वहां क्या रिक्वायरमेंट होती है. प्रोबेबली यू आर एन एनालिटिक्स स्टूडेंट. सो सेक्टर एंड इंडस्ट्री स्पेसिफिक अवेयरनेस आपको डेवलप करनी होती है व्हेन यू मूव टुवर्ड्स योर फाइनल प्लेसमेंट. सो यू स्टार्ट फ्रॉम वेरी फाउंडेशन, then you move to management domain, then you go to specialization. Along with, you also have to learn the technology, and these two are important areas where you go for your final placement. Out of all these, mostly all the knowledge is imparted in your MBA program, but last two is your responsibility also. So developing general awareness and industry and sector specific awareness के लिए आपको अपने end से भी effort लगाना पड़ेगा, and institute will also put an effort. For all others, institute has policies and practices in the place, so you will be getting sufficient knowledge in next 2 years so that you can perform your task effectively. So that's the first part, which is called a knowledge framework. Second part is called skill framework, how to do it. So skills are ability to perform an activity or task. Skill के लिए भी you need knowledge. So you, in order to perform a skill effectively, you need some knowledge. Skill is an activity or movement. It is coordination and application of a knowledge. So skill is basically how you apply the knowledge, right? अब MBA skill set framework में क्या क्या skill set आपसे expect किए जाते हैं? So number one is called language skills. We all know that when you work in corporate, the most common language in corporates is English, right? So one is language. English may be what kind of language skills they expect. So you should have good written language skills. You should be able to write effectively. Then you should have good oral language skills. You should be able to speak effectively. At a later stage, you should also have a GD, group discussions and personal interview skills. So we train extensively in language skills, starting from your written analysis and communication. Then you have something called an oral communication skills, how effectively you should speak with each other. Then at a later stage, you will also get practice of how to perform in group discussions and personal interview. Believe me, for most of the students who do MBA, this is the biggest challenge. And if you overcome this challenge in next 2 years, you are likely to excel in your corporate life. Language के केस में ऐसा माना जाता है कि some amount of language could be developed in these 2 years with practice. You will not be fundamentally becoming an expert, but if you brush up and work hard, at least you will have some amount of language skills which is acceptable in corporates. Second is called computing skills. Computing skills is basically skills of operating computers. So basically computing skills में हम MS Office जिसमें Word, Excel और PowerPoint का expertise आपको impart करेंगे, and at a later stage if you get into analytics, some tools of Python, R programming, and all that softwares will also be taught. And now platforms like Google, Zoom, meeting platforms are also part of computing skills. So computing skill is very important when you work in corporates. You have to work on laptops or PC. Some amount of computing skills you will have to develop during the course of next 2 years, where you have to make PPTs on PowerPoint, or you have to develop your reports in Word format, or you have to do the calculation in Excel and all that. So computing skill is the second most important skill required from an MBA. Third is called problem solving skills. Problem solving skills is basically how you understand the problem and what do you do to solve this problem. For example, last session में एक problem मैंने identify किया था कि my voice level was not very great and my language choice was only English. ये दोनों problems identify करके I have worked on this session that okay, I'll reduce my pace and I'll also try and speak in one more language. So problem solving skill is an essential skill required in a manager कि आप जहां जिस organization में जाओगे उसके problems आप कैसे solve करोगे. उसके लिए सबसे important चीज है problem identification. कुछ problems आपको explicitly बता दिए जाएंगे कि ये organization में ये problem है, और कुछ आपको अपनी observation skill से develop करने पड़ेंगे. So problem solving skills actually MBA program में tested through case study method or through examination and all that कि आप कितना problem समझ के उसको solve करने की क्षमता रखते हैं. The next skill is called interpersonal skill. So interpersonal skill is basically how do you communicate with others. It is part of leadership, it is part of negotiation, it is part of teamwork, right? So interpersonal skill is also a very important skill which is actually disregarded by so many MBA students, but it is much more important in corporates. Interpersonal skill मतलब आप दूसरों से कितना effectively communicate करते हो, आप कितना अच्छी तरह नेगोशिएट कर सकते हो, आप कितनी अच्छी तरह किसी को परसुएड कर सकते हो, आप कितनी अच्छी तरह लीडरशिप प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे काम कर सकते हो, आप कितनी अच्छी तरह इवेंट या टीम रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज में काम कर सकते हो. दैट इज कॉल्ड इंटरपर्सनल स्किल्स. Leadership skills, it goes without saying, obviously, how efficiently you can work and manage as a leader, how do you talk and handle the team, that's also very important. Data skill. Now, this is one of the skills which is very important and which has came into picture in last 5 years. Nowadays, almost all companies are sitting on huge amount of data. So, हर कंपनी के पास थोड़ा बहुत डेटा है, कस्टमर का डेटा होता है या फाइनेंसिस का डेटा होता है या उसके सोशल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स का डेटा होता है. उस डेटा को इवैल्यूएट करके उसको इंसाइट में कैसे कन्वर्ट करें. अगर आपके पास सेल्स का डेटा है तो उसका एनालिसिस करके आप ये आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो कि कौन से प्रोडक्ट्स आपके बहुत ज्यादा सक्सेसफुल हैं, या ये आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हो कि कौन से एज ग्रुप के कस्टमर्स आपके प्रोडक्ट को बाय करते हैं. सो डेटा स्किल इज बेसिकली सीइंग द डेटा, इवैल्यूएटिंग द डेटा, अप्लाइंग द टूल्स ऑन डेटा एंड कमिंग अप विद द इनसाइट्स व्हिच इज यूजफुल फॉर बिजनेस. Nowadays, data skills are considered to be one of the most important skills in MBA. And the kind of job profiles you get in data analytics and data science are phenomenal. And we also have our own program on MBA in business analytics. So data skills are considered to be very important if you want to be successful in your MBA career. Next is negotiation and conflict resolution skills. Negotiation and conflict resolution is basically how you interact with people, how you negotiate, right? When you go for buying or shopping, you try to do negotiation कि भैया ये इतने में देना पड़ेगा and all that, right? Conflict resolution on the other hand is basically when you have conflict with the other person, like family conflict होता है या organizational conflict होता है. So उसको resolve कैसे किया जाए amicably ताकि both the parties are there. At a leadership level, you will always find this skill is very important because your subordinates, the employees whom you are developing or leading, they will come up with lot of conflicts. Sir, मुझे इससे बात नहीं करनी है, उससे बात नहीं करनी है, sir मेरे इससे problem है. So as a leader, how do you solve the conflict of the other people and how do you solve your own conflict? That skill is also very important in the functioning of the organization. The next is emotional intelligence and time management skill. Time management skill is basically how do you manage your time efficiently so that you can give justice to all the activities. In Corona period, हमने observe किया है कि हमारा time management skill थोड़ा lethargic हो गया है. We sleep more, we eat on odd times and all that. But once you start your MBA program, you will be much more disciplined. बट काफी बार ऐसा होगा कि आपको ये लगेगा कि पूरा दिन क्लासेस ही चल रहे हैं सर, हम पढ़ाई कब करेंगे, हम अपना रिव्यू कब करेंगे. दैट्स वेयर योर टाइम मैनेजमेंट स्किल्स विल कम इनटू द पिक्चर कि आप अपना टाइम कैसे एफिशिएंटली मैनेज कर रहे हो. इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस इज बेसिकली हैंडलिंग योर ओन इमोशंस एंड हैंडलिंग द इमोशंस ऑफ अदर पीपल. वी ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर इमोशनल इन नेचर. इमोशंस आर गुड बट बीइंग ओवर इमोशनल इज डेंजरस इन अ वर्क लाइफ. सो आपको इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस में क्या करना है, यू शुड manage your own emotions efficiently and you should be able to manage the emotions of other people also. That is called emotional intelligence, and we have a dedicated session on emotional intelligence which will be conducted by me. So when we reach into that session, I'll give you a detail about how emotional intelligence is harnessed or developed. Right? This is about skills. Now the third is called attitude. So attitude is perspective of your life. It is a settled way of thinking or feeling about something. For example, some of you feel that this program is very positive. कुछ लोगों ने ये लिखा है कि प्रोग्राम बहुत अच्छा है सर, हमें सेशंस में बहुत मजा आ रहा है, आई एम प्राउड ऑफ इट. सो यू हैव अ पॉजिटिव अप्रोच अबाउट दिस सेशन. अब आप देखना, कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं, दे आर नॉट वेरी हैप्पी विथ जनरल लाइफ कि ये नहीं हो रहा है, कोरोना हो गया है, जॉब्स चले गए हैं. सो एटीट्यूड ये होता है कि आप सिचुएशन को कैसे देखते हो. डू यू हैव अ पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स सिचुएशंस, डू यू हैव अ नेगेटिव एटीट्यूड टुवर्ड्स सिचुएशन, आर यू ऑप्टिमिस्टिक, आर यू पेसिमिस्टिक. And attitude, believe me, decides your destiny. It's a make or break variable which is tested by so many recruiters. So it is response towards your life. अब positive attitude और negative attitude के कुछ examples हैं. That अगर आपके अंदर positive attitude हो तो लोग आपको कैसे judge करेंगे. So people will think that you are ambitious, you are motivated, you are thoughtful, you are cooperative, you are determined, you are flexible, you're hardworking, you're honest, you're open-minded, you're self-disciplined. These are the qualities required to become a successful manager and to ace your MBA program. Now, what could be a negative attitude? So you're aggressive unnecessarily. You are arrogant. You are critical about so many. Critical matlab you criticize situations and people. You are irresponsible. You are jealous, you are skeptical. Skeptical मतलब doubt, आपके अंदर doubt का element बहुत है कि भाई मेरे से होगा कि नहीं. You are immature in your behavior. That आप अभी post graduation program में हो, it's a program related to career. But is your perspective positive about this program? And you are casual also. बहुत सारी चीजें आप casually लेते हो, right? So you have something called knowledge, you have skills, and you have attitude. अब मैं आपको एक interesting question पूछता हूँ. Again, it's a poll time. मैं आपको दो एरियाज देता हूं, आपको मेरे को परसेंटेज बताना है. आई थिंक somebody saying voice cut. Now am I audible clearly? Maulik and Nishikant. Yeah, now I'm
Sir,
audible, right?
earlier it was
Okay.
in between voice was cracking, but now fine, sir.
Okay, okay. So मैं आपको एक पोल में पूछना चाहता हूं. मैं आपको नॉलेज, स्किल्स और एटीट्यूड, राइट, ये तीनों अब एक साइड में रखता हूं नॉलेज और दूसरे साइड में रखता हूं स्किल्स और एटीट्यूड. सो एक हो गया आपका नॉलेज और दूसरा क्लासिफिकेशन है स्किल्स एंड एटीट्यूड. अब मेरे को आप बताइए एक चीज सोच के थोड़ा लॉजिकली कि आपकी लाइफ में, आपकी जॉब, आपका वर्क लाइफ, आपका पैकेज या आपका सक्सेस, नॉलेज वर्सेस स्किल्स एंड एटीट्यूड, ये दोनों में से कौन से फैक्टर पे ज्यादा डिपेंड करता है. Is it only dependent on knowledge or is it dependent upon skill and attitude? So कुछ लोग बोल रहे हैं skills and attitude. Same Ali saying skill and attitude, skill and attitude, skills and attitude, skills and attitude. And some people are saying knowledge. किसी ने तो ratio भी दिया है 50-50. That's very good. Skills and attitude, right? Skills and attitude. Okay. Now I'll give you the real analysis. People done a lot of research on this area and they have come to conclusion that roughly It's just a research, it's not a truth. So what I'm quoting is just a research. It may change at a later stage also, but मोटे तौर पे ऐसा माना जाता है कि roughly 70% of your success in your life, which will be your job, your package, your personal life, depends upon your skills and attitude. So knowledge only contributes to 30%, but it doesn't mean that you disregard it. So बहुत सारी चीजें आपकी लाइफ में जो होती हैं वो स्किल्स और एटीट्यूड पे ज्यादा डिपेंड करती है. व्हेन यू गो अप इन द लैडर ऑफ द मैनेजमेंट, the skills and attitude that you carry will give you a higher return compared to the knowledge. So skills and attitudes are also equally important. In fact, they are considered more valuable by most of the recruiters, right? So both are important, but the proportion of skills and attitude is slightly higher currently. It may change. See, it will depend upon the profile also. For example, अगर आप brain surgeon हो तो नॉलेज का प्रपोर्शन भी ज्यादा होगा, बट देन द वे यू डू द सर्जरी इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बट कुछ जैसे टीचिंग के केस में नॉलेज या रिसर्च के केस में नॉलेज या कुछ हाई एंड जॉब्स में नॉलेज का प्रपोर्शन भी ज्यादा होता है. बट मोटे तौर पे स्किल्स एंड एटीट्यूड्स का प्रपोर्शन इज स्लाइटली हायर देन द नॉलेज, राइट? लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट इज कॉल्ड हैबिट्स. सो हैबिट्स is basically action by person which is repeatedly done consistently without any effort or conscious thought. अब कौन-कौन से हैबिट्स एमबीए में माने जाते हैं that you should try and develop? So one habit is professionalism. Since you are in a professional course, it is expected that you have to behave professionally. Behave professionally मतलब maturely, right? You should be mature enough. You should be professional enough. अभी तक हमारे जो ग्रेजुएशन प्रोग्राम में आपने एक ग्रेजुएशन स्टूडेंट के तौर पे बिहेव किया होगा, बट व्हेन यू एनरोल इन एन एमबीए प्रोग्राम वी ट्रीट यू एज एग्जीक्यूटिव फ्रॉम डे वन ओनली. एंड वन ऑफ द की फीचर ऑफ बीइंग एग्जीक्यूटिव इज दैट यू शुड हैव अ प्रोफेशनलिज्म. यू टेक थिंग्स प्रोफेशनली, be it your career, be it the targets, be it studies and everything. Discipline, it's very important that in MBA you should be disciplined. Discipline goes without saying, I don't have to explain. Punctuality. Punctuality means meeting the targets, giving the assignments on the time, appearing for all the tasks on the time. Multitasking. Multitasking is also a quality which is required in MBA. हो सकता है एक दिन में आपके 2-3 assignments आ जाएं, या you have presentation or you have some function at home but exam in the university. You should be able to handle it effectively. Multitasking is also very important. That you should be able to give justice to all the tasks. Persistent matlab you are consistently developing yourself. You are very regular, you are persistent, you work consistently. मैं आपको थोड़ा एग्जाम्पल से समझाता हूँ. persistent, एक होते हैं इंटेलिजेंट स्टूडेंट और दूसरे होते हैं स्टूडेंट्स हु स्टडी रेगुलरली. So there are some intelligent students who study overnight only. एग्जाम के अगले दिन पढ़ के अच्छे मार्क्स ले आएंगे, और कुछ होते हैं जो कंसिस्टेंटली पढ़ते हैं. MBA program में it is generally expected that you have to be consistent. So you from day one till your graduation, it is expected that you will work on a daily basis. And in your real life also, it's very important that you should be persistent or consistent throughout your performance. आपको कुछ टाइम के लिए या कुछ पीरियड के लिए आपका परफॉर्मेंस नहीं देना है. In organization, you have to consistently perform good. So persistence is also important. Self-driven. Self-driven मतलब हर बार कोई आपको आके मोटिवेट करे कि आपको ये करना है, वो करना है, ऐसा नहीं. The thought should come from your side also कि मुझे क्या करना है. You should be motivated enough to come. You should be motivated enough to work on the assignment. You should be motivated enough to work on your own development. That is called self-driven. And curiosity. Curiosity is one of the key area for development. If you're not curious about what is happening, you will not develop. So you should ask questions. Curiosity का सबसे बड़ा parameter है asking questions, talking, discussing. And believe me, if you develop this quality of curiosity, it will help you to grow in your life at a higher level. Because all leaders, they are generally very curious about what is happening all around. So curiosity is also an habit that you should develop. Now let's talk about employability skills. So what do you mean by employability skills, or what are employability skills? So employability skills are set of attributes, skills, and knowledge that a labor market participant should possess in order to ensure that they have capability of being effective in their workplace. Basically, आपके पास knowledge, skill, attitude होना चाहिए so that आपको जॉब मिले और उस जॉब में आप अच्छी तरह परफॉर्म करो. एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी स्किल्स का एडवांटेज क्या है? दे हेल्प यू इन परफॉर्म बेटर इन द वर्क प्लेस. सो इफ यू हैव गुड एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी स्किल्स, यू विल बी एबल टू परफॉर्म गुड. It can be used in any future job. If you change the organization, if you have those employability skills, you can get employed somewhere else also. And third, it helps your organization to achieve more goals. Agar kisi organization mein employees are efficient and they have higher employability skill, naturally organization will grow. Now I was about to actually discuss all 8, but since we are running out of time, I'll just introduce all 8. These are the 8 employability skills considered important by the recruiters or employers. One is communication. How efficiently you communicate through all channels. What is your way of communicating? The good leaders always communicates very good, be it our prime minister or be it any CEO. Teamwork, it's very important. When you work in corporates, you are not working in isolation. You should be able to lead the team as well, and you should be a good team player also. Self-management, one of the key thing. How do you manage your own self? Do you manage your own self very well? If you don't manage your own self, you will not be able to manage the organization. Learning skills, how quickly you can learn the new skills. Problem solving, obviously, how can you identify the problems and how can you find the solution of them. Upgraded technology, you should be well versed with the technology. Planning and organization, you should be able to plan so many things and organize events, like events or probably events or activities. Initiative and enterprise. Initiative is how good you are in taking the initiative. For example, some people come and approach faculties, okay, sir, हमें कुछ करना है. That is called initiative. And some people don't take any initiative. So if you have initiative ability, you can become a good leader. Now, these 8 qualities are considered to be very important when you go for your placements. So because of the time, I think I'll have to kind of stop. So before I go, I'll just give you a clear idea that what you should think. Tips for leveraging your MBA. आपको क्या करना चाहिए next 2 years में? Obviously, first point, very important, work hard. Second, start networking. Networking means you should be able to network with the faculties, with your colleagues and people outside your university. Networking के लिए बोला जाता है कि move from Facebook to LinkedIn. So Facebook में आपका प्रोफाइल है, उसको सोशल नेटवर्किंग बोलते हैं, और लिंक्डइन में जो है उसको प्रोफेशनल नेटवर्किंग बोलते हैं. So start networking with the people, find right people who can mentor you, guide you. Develop right KASH, knowledge, skills, attitude and habits. KASH के बारे में बोला जाता है कि if you have right KASH, you will get lot of CASH. तो अगर आपके पास काश होगा तो आपके पास कैश होगा. Identify right employability skills and work on them. So जो 8 मैंने बताई है उसमें से identify which ones are suitable for the career that you're looking for. And finally, don't fear or panic. These are the 2 years of your life, the most important. This will decide the next 30-40 years of your life. So if you work very hard, it's going to be a good experience. आप नए सिस्टम में हो, बहुत सारे apprehensions होंगे, but don't worry, there are processes and people who will be able to help you. So don't fear, in fact, leverage this MBA program. So with this, I stop.